Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It's me, your boy Eli. I'm back with Joey.
What's up?
And we're here to talk about more Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it's second episode.
Yeah. Didn't take us long to get there.
No, not really. I mean, I think we had to do some stuff for the Snyder Cut, but yeah, hopefully this is going to be coming out at the usual time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about, but we're gonna go blow right through. We're gonna give a quick rundown. We might talk about certain things more. We're probably gonna run through something real quick. Well, you know which one I'm talking about, yeah.
Mhm,
That
yeah,
specific
yeah.
detail that you didn't know, but I had to inform you this.
Yeah.
We're gonna go much more into that because I did know about this, and I did make sure I did some research for this, so we'll be ready. All right, so this is continuing from where we left off in the last episode, where U.S. agent, or in this show they're gonna keep on calling him Captain America, even though we all know he's not Captain America.
Yeah, John Walker.
John Walker, who I think we forgot to mention in the last episode was played by oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. But he's the son of I'm forgetting his name as well. The guy,
Russell?
Kurt Russell, yeah, Wyatt Russell, that's his name. Wyatt Russell, who's the son of Kurt Russell. Both father and son are in the MCU, different roles. And Joey, give us a quick rundown of what's going on.
Okay, so this episode we start off mainly with John Walker at I guess his old high school locker room, just sort of just checking out because he's trying to remember the old days where I guess he played football. He meets with this woman, I assume is his wife.
Wife or girlfriend?
Wife or girlfriend, yeah. Just sort of encouraging him and he's sort of like, yeah, being Captain America, it's kind of a lot, a lot of responsibility for me. So I gotta, hold myself true and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a pep talk from one of his army buddies. I forget his name though, but
They mentioned it twice.
yeah. I think it's like Eric. I could be wrong.
I'll do a quick search just in case.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, he sort of suits up, goes out because they're doing this whole thing at his old high school on the football field, and having basically sort of an interview with the news and stuff, sort of like
Yeah,
asking,
Good Morning America.
Yeah, like sort of like, what's it like being Captain America and stuff like that, and it's sort of like we have like a scene of Bucky watching it, and he's sort of like kind of like a bit not happy about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering he knew about Steve giving the shield to Sam,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting him to be the next Captain America, essentially. So, yeah, it's a bit interesting how we sort of get a bit of these characterization for John Walker, like, because he's just a regular dude.
He's Lamar Hoskin, the guy you're talking about, his friend Lamar Hoskin.
Okay.
Also goes by yeah, this is alright.
Yeah, but it's a bit of an interesting sort of like view because, like I said, he John Walker is not a super soldier. He's a regular dude, basically. He doesn't have the super soldier serum that Cap got. He's and they sort of make mention of that, basically. Sort of like he's just a regular dude, but he's talented enough to at least be able to do Captain America things, right?
Yeah, they made that apparent. They showed him throwing the shield around, which were like, shouldn't that be in the museum? And Indiana Jones doesn't exist in this world, so he can't come in and tell him that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. But anyways, we sort of go back to I think Sam, who's ready to go on a mission to sort of find out more about these the Flag Smashers, right? And Bucky sort of comes along, and he's pretty much like before they get onto the mission, Bucky sort of like why didn't you like take the shield? Why'd you give it up?
Mm-hmm.
See what they did? And he's like, listen, I didn't know they were gonna do that. All right, don't you think I'm also angry about this?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
A lot of issues with this is an apparent thing throughout the show. It's like it's the idea of of a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do with the legacy, especially with someone like Cap, who in the comics has had many people take up the mantle, either officially or like yeah, I'm not really Cap, but I'm saying I'm Cap. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. And then we later have Falcon and Bucky each in retrospectively had their moments with the name Captain America.
Yeah. So essentially, Bucky essentially decides to tag along on the mission because obviously he still wants to talk about all this stuff, and as well as learning from Sam that these Flag Smashers, at least one of them, is a super soldier, or at least seems to be enhanced in some way, right? So they go on the mission. They find they're stealing for medical supplies and stuff. And they realize, I think they sort of get on a truck and they think there's a hostage on the truck. But it turns out it's not a hostage, it's one of the Flag Smashers.
And I believe it's the leader of the Flag Smashers. It's the Flag Smasher is an actual character whose name is Carl. I can't remember the last name off the top of my head. But they gender bended this one and made her Carly, which is, I'm like, that's fine. No one, I don't hear many people complaining over that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when it comes to like a lot of obscure characters like that, like no one really, like there's probably like one dude who's like, the Flash Smasher is like my favorite villain. How could he have done this? But a majority of people are like,
who?
Yeah, like, because that's a lot of people are going to be like that. So, I mean, it's not like a Ultron situation where people are rightfully kind of like, a little
Ultron, alright.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, in terms of like, this is bullshit. Fucking Hank Pym made Ultron, not Tony Stark. I hate this. Or, what else was I thinking? Oh, the Mandarin, right? Although I think they're sort of retroactively fixing that now.
Yeah, they're fixing that, even though I kind of like that twist.
I mean, yeah, it's a good twist. I like the twist. It works. But, obviously, there's some people that really wanted... anyways, we're getting a little off topic. But, yeah, they have a bit of a fight on these two...
It's a classic, action movie scene.
Yeah, fight on top of these two 18-wheelers and stuff. And, of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're fighting. And
they're getting their ass handed to them.
Yeah, because it quickly becomes apparent that all of these people have enhanced ability. Well, not enhanced abilities in terms of like superpowers, but they're definitely
they're stronger
soldiers.
than the average person.
Yeah, they're definitely they have some sort of super soldier serum in them. And just as they're on the ropes, suddenly John Walker, Captain America, shows up along with
his buddy.
Yeah, his buddy
Bernard Hopkins, who goes by a different name. I didn't realize this is a comic book character because, like, again, it's one of those really obscure ones that even I have a hard time remembering or like knowing they actually exist. He goes by Battlestar, which later on the guys are like, "Really?"
It's like Battlestar. Get out of here!
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds so like by committee.
Yeah. But they sort of like
not to dog to those guys, to anyone who's a Battlestar fan, but the way they play it out doesn't make it sound like really.
They're kind of like whatever. This is. Anyways, yeah, they all have a bit of a fight. They're all like sort of fighting, but eventually, the Flag Smashers get away because it's clear that these are super soldiers and. Not even John Walker, Captain America stands a chance against these guys. Nope. And they sort of lick their wounds. They get it picked up by John Walker because he essentially tells them that we've been also investigating these guys, and we sort of tracked Falcon's Red Wing because it seems like you guys have been following them too.
And this is already a breach of trust because like. Red Wing is a very important. It's Falcon's thing. It's like that's like his toy.
Yeah, that's sort of it is sort of like his little thing he works on and repairs and stuff on his own. He doesn't need like nobody touching it. So the fact that
someone essentially, I wouldn't say hack because even they admit they didn't hack.
Yeah, because they're like it's government property, so we just tracked it. So
Yeah. And there's clear like tension between John Walker and Falcon and Sam and Bucky because they don't like the idea of someone else taking the shield because both of them have this sort of connection with Steve. They're very good close friends. They know what he meant to a lot of people, and they didn't want it to be like this kind of way. Now, granted, John Walker seems like an upstanding guy. He seems like a really cool dude with his own little morals and stuff. He wants to do right. He wants to do right.
Yeah, and he sort of specifically says, like, he sort of gets it. Like, listen, I get it. You guys really don't like what's happening here, but I'm not trying to replace Steve. I'm just trying to be the best Captain America I can be.
Mm-hmm. And you can give him credit for that, but his choice of words are also very questionable.
Yeah. He sort of like, what does he call Falcon again?
I just want help from Cap's wingman. And he's like, really?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, what? But yeah,
you are his wingman, right? Like, really, bro? Just a low hanging fruit right there.
Yeah, but that's sort of how that goes, and Bucky sort of like has a sort of a thing where he's sort of like, listen, all right, if these are super soldiers we're talking about, there's only like one guy
who might know
something about this, and Sam's like, what the heck are you talking about? It's like, all right, let's go see
which
him.
Before that they were also still arguing about the shield.
Yeah, that's sort of a big topic of this episode is sort of Bucky sort of just like, why'd you give up the shield, man?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Steve trusted you. He wanted you to take it up.
Yeah, we'll get more into that as we get along.
Yeah.
But we do travel to Baltimore, Maryland. Was it Baltimore, Maryland?
Yeah, Baltimore, I think.
And where we meet a certain character that I'm going to go into detail much more later. We meet Isaiah, who clearly has some super soldier stuff with him, and he and Bucky clearly had a scuffle before.
Yeah, he mentions that basically that he was sent in to handle Bucky on a mission, like back in like the 50s.
Yeah, Korean War.
Yeah, and during the Korean War. So, yeah, there's a bit of history between these two, and Isaiah is definitely sort of doesn't want to talk to anybody.
No, he's very he's not having it.
Yeah, he's seen a lot of stuff. He's been through a lot, and
it's very painful.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actor's name. I'm about to look it up right now, but he did a great performance. Like you felt that pain coming to him, and the revelation that he was a black super soldier really shakes Falcon. Really shakes Sam to the core because no one knew about him. This is like a huge thing for him.
Yeah.
And Sam and Bucky are arguing. They bring into question whether or not Steve knew about it. And I have my own theories about that. We just went through a whole show, the whole different Marvel show about theories. I have my thoughts on this. But clearly Steve didn't know.
Yeah.
Bucky knew, but he didn't want to say anything, and because the guy's been through much. Isaiah's been through a lot. He doesn't need the kind of attention.
Yeah.
And we get this very intense scene with the police.
Yeah, because they're sort of arguing on the streets, sort of like going back and forth about this. And it just happens some cops show up and they sort of like, listen, all right, settle down and show you some IDs. Like, what are you on about? We're just,
And they specifically target Sam.
Yeah, and they're sort of like, listen, I'll show no IDs. Like, and essentially,
like he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, they're just having an argument outside.
Like two normal people.
Yeah, so eventually, like, one of the cops sort of tells the other cop, these are Avengers dudes. And he's like, oh, I am so sorry, Mr. Wilson. I just did not recognize you without those goggles, I'm just... and he's like... and obviously Sam's sort of like, are you serious, bro?
Yeah, like, are you guys... Are y'all serious?
Yeah. And, as well as, apparently, because I think Bucky, he did not attend one of his therapy sessions. He's essentially put under arrest because essentially it's kind of like violating your parole. So essentially, he has to be taken to jail for a little bit. But there's not much going on there, mainly because when Sam gets to jail, he meets with the therapist, and
well, John Walker gets Bucky out of jail.
yeah, I was leaning up to that, where Sam was gonna be like, "Thanks for getting him out of jail, Doc." It's like, that wasn't me, and it's sort of like John Walker shows up. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?
Shaking hands.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, listen, all right, he doesn't need to be in jail. All right,
I vouch for him.
Yeah, listen, I vouch for him. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so." And the reason for that is, of course, John Walker is sort of like, listen, all right, we got to work together.
Mm.
But before we get to that, because, I mean, he mentions that, listen, you guys still need to talk. Mm-hmm. Before we get to that, the therapist sort of brings Bucky and Sam with her to essentially discuss some things.
Yeah. To let out some levity. Like, just clear the room. Just clear the room, guys. Just do it. Talk it out. And while I enjoy the comedic talents of both these guys, I think it's a little bit over the top in this one.
Like, I don't know. I think it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just because I think when you see the actors Sebastian Shaw and Anthony Mackie, like
they have clear chemistry.
Yeah, they already have like some pretty strong chemistry, like offset. So I feel like some of that like sort of like bleeds into like
this
the
is
actual.
Just them. This is just them and all.
Yeah, like some of that bleeds into their actual like when they're actually being the characters for a little bit, and I think for some people that it might go a little excessive, but I think for me it's more or less fine. Like I'm fine with whatever, like with at least some of the comedic bits. I don't feel like it's gone like too excessive yet.
Fair enough.
But yeah, but yeah, no, they sort of are in this sort of room, just sort of like essentially she's trying to do like this therapy session with them. Like, listen, you guys we're gonna go through some couples therapy, you know?
Man, the shippers on Twitter, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Listen, I'm pretty positive. I don't know. Do you think? Like, I'm pretty sure like they're both heterosexual at least, right?
Well. They are in the comics.
Yeah. But anyways, they sort of hash it out. Obviously, Bucky's still going on about the shield and stuff. Like, listen, Steve trusted you, and you just gave it up. What does that say about me, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like, kind of implying that like Steve's judgment was wrong, so his judgment on Bucky may also be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Sam's sort of like, listen, all right, you have to accept that what I did, I thought I did the right thing. Because I felt, because he still sort of feels that he wasn't ready. Like, he did not feel that the shield
needed to go to him.
Yeah, like, he did not feel like he had sort of the weight of the shield, I guess, for him.
And, once that's out, they go off their own merry way. They talk to John Walker, and they're basically saying, "Look, we're not going to work with you. Like you are working with the government, and that's not a bad thing. But you got to go through a whole lot. We don't do that."
Yeah. Sam is basically sort of laying down, sort of like listen.
With all due respect.
With all due respect, like, listen, I get that working together probably will help us out, right? Especially considering that John Walker mentions that they have been trying to keep as much tabs on the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, because they work for a government group. I think it was called. Actually, don't even quote me. I was about to call it something else completely because I'm thinking of another group that essentially they're the ones in charge of handling a lot of the big stuff that happened after the return of all these people, the death certificates, banks, and all that kind of stuff. That we saw that was an issue in the last episode. That this group is trying to fix that, and the counter these terrorists, basically that's what they are. The Flag Smashers are kind of against all that what they're doing.
Yeah, they are. Because there is a scene like that happens like. After the whole fights between them, that where we see the Flag Smashers sort of returning to or coming to this house, like they're being hosted by this I guess nice German couple, and they're essentially who really appreciates them stuff, and they sort of like drill down their whole thing about. I think Carly sort of talks about like essentially kind of her whole motive that listen, all right, things like
Thanos was right.
Kind of, yeah, in the sense that like we were better off without these people coming back, and now with essentially, I think she's sort of arguing that a lot of the people that came back are bad people to her, and that they're essentially coming back just to try to restore the order that was before for her. And she's like, we can't have that. We can't let these guys just come back and just take back power again, right? So that's sort of like her sort of ideology, I guess, as being the Flag Smashers, right? So yeah, and going back to the John Walker thing, with him explaining that we've been sort of trying to keep as much tabs on them as we can. We're getting close to like getting on their location as much as possible, right? And Sam's obviously like, listen, you guys work for like government agencies. You got to go through so many like protocols and all this stuff. We're free agents, all right? We can basically just do as we please, essentially. All right, so we don't. As much as it probably would behoove us, it's probably gonna be a lot more work than it is to work with you guys. So we're just gonna do this ourselves. And to which John Rocker replies, "If that's the case, then stay the hell out of my way."
And that's when we're like, okay, John, I'm happy to go away.
Well, yeah, like I think they are doing. I think what they might be doing with John Walker's character, and we might get a little bit more into this, is that as much as he talks about like trying to be the best Captain America he can be, he's also I think not as he's willing to probably dirty his hands a little bit more than Steve Rogers would.
Yeah, and I'll say this in the comics, he's always been kind of more like the anti-hero. Like, he always wanted the job, but, his actions speak differently. Like, he himself is capable of doing the stuff Captain America is known for, but he can be a little too aggressive. Like, and I think that's something we're going to end up seeing where he might go a little too far. And especially since U.S. Agent in the comics is very... Like, he's a government lapdog. So he will do as they say, whereas Cap was always like, yeah, no, I'm calling BS on you, whoever's in charge.
Yeah, he's
no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I guess, John Walker does shoot a guy. Granted,
yeah,
and granted, like Cap in the movies has used guns, but I think that's only during his first movie. Any other time we see Cap, he mostly just doing hand-to-hand combat, not necessarily using guns. So I don't know. That could be
just a stylistic choice.
Either just a stylistic choice, or maybe it might hint to, John Walker's willing to use guns on these dudes, but Cap didn't really use guns because he felt, I can do it with my fists. No one needs to die.
Well, I think what you're saying is, we're trying to say is that, Cap was always willing to, like, Cap will take him down. But he won't, like, he'll try to ensure that no one gets hurt. But with John Walker, he's very aggressive. And he immediately going with the gun, which is not uncommon in the comics, because Bucky used the gun when he was Cap. But it's indicated that he could be a quick to shoot kind of guy.
Potentially,
a tad more aggressive.
Yeah.
Whereas Steve, who is all about the shield, is more of doesn't try to be as aggressive.
Yeah, but yeah, it's sort of the
gist of that part, but also the fact that apparently the Flag Smashers are stealing from someone that wants their stuff back, and they're willing to kill them to get it back.
Yeah, because these dudes are also tracking tracking the Flag Smashers down, and as soon as they're like at this airport ready to lift off, like they're already like there's a whole convoy on the way, and one of the Flag Smashers
does the usual "I'll stay behind, hold them down,"
and honestly doesn't
do much.
Doesn't do that great of a job holding them. All he does is just push an electric pole in front of these cars, and then just runs at them when they have a bunch of rifles just aimed at him and they gun him down. I would imagine that he would at least, I don't know, like I thought he was gonna like knock it down. They all get out. It's like, where is he? And then he just sort of jumps out, takes a couple of them down, and then gets shot or something. Not just like run straight into them. Like, dude, you have super strength. You're not bulletproof.
You're not Luke Cage.
Yeah, it's like you're just gonna get shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously he gets killed. And I think there's
nameless guy number 1.
Yeah, and some guy, I think he was in one of the trucks that has like a business suit on and stuff. He's like, they got away, and then we sort of cut back to, I believe we cut back to Sam and Bucky talking about what to do next, and basically them agreeing to. Well, I would say Sam hesitantly agreeing to go see Zemo. Right, because Bucky is very much like, listen, I think there's only like one other person we could probably talk to this about. You know, like.
But one guy I don't want to go to, but he's our only hope.
Yeah, and it's Zemo. And as soon as they like Bucky's like, okay, I guess we'll go talk to Zemo. They fucking play some classic music.
I think it was Beethoven's Requiem.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it just we cut to like this super secure like prison place where Zemo's at. Looks like he's been playing some chess by himself, and he's just in his prison cell, just sort of like contemplating. Like,
during the usual like evil villain, like wait patiently.
Yeah, wait patiently in your cell, waiting for one day for the heroes to
thinking
show
about every possibility of action, of how to take to for your escape plan.
Yeah,
take down the Avengers.
Yeah, all that stuff.
But
yeah, and that's sort of where the episode ends.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I feel like this show might be really straightforward and stuff, but there are some hints of like a lot of more not mature, mature themes, yes, but but done in a way that's like not beating you over the head with, but also like moments of like in the last episode we talked about how they really focus on like the problems that Bucky and Sam had to go through, trying to get loans, dealing with their PTSD. This one's like really handling like the whole a wholly different issue, and I don't know if you do want to start with that.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about whatever.
Yeah, because so for those of you who don't know, the character Isaiah really, when he was first mentioned, when they name dropped Isaiah, my mind immediately just blew up, because there's one Marvel character who has a huge prevalence in comics. He's Isaiah Bradley, who is the first Black Captain America, and his story is not that different from what they're telling us in the show, because in the comics, he, how Steve, he was made by the super soldier serum, but the creator died.
Yeah,
he died, and so one of the things that they did during World War II in the comics was that they tried to recreate it, and they didn't want to test it on their normal soldiers, so they tested it on their African American soldiers.
Yeah.
They got a total of 300 people, and only a few survived, and those that died were, they just said, "Oh no, he died serving his country," but really, he was being experimented on.
Yeah.
Which is really, kind of messed up, and sort of, and the writer for that comic, I think it was a Truth, Red, White, and Blue. I think it's the name of the comic that introduces him. And it's a very interesting story, because the writer brought in, he used a lot of actual. He was inspired by a lot of stuff that actually happened, and I have to make sure I got this right, because they talk about how Isaiah's origin story is based on the events of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. And I'm reading this off the wiki, so I'm sorry. One of the most unethical known medical experiments in U.S. history, where 600 African American men from Alabama were lied to under the promise of free health care from the government into receiving no treatment of syphilis. So the consequences of the disease were untreated for 40 years could be observed.
I mean, yeah, no, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's not good, and I don't know if they're gonna go that that kind of idea with Isaiah. But he was very but in the history of Marvel, like in universe, he's known as like the first Black Captain America. He was sent in to do a lot of work after Steve went under ice, and he was not treated as a hero at the end of it.
I imagine so, considering that he himself in this episode says that after everything he did, he was put into jail for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely not treated very well.
No, and it's we all clearly know why. The reason is because he is a person of color. And like I know this is not the kind of thing we usually talk about, but the show does not hide it.
Yeah, the show is definitely sort of hinting at a lot of these sort of undertones, and it wouldn't be, I guess, right if we just sort of glanced over them or just not talk about it, because clearly the show is making a statement with this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's the history of that character. Also, well, I will say the one positive thing about Isaiah Bradley in the comics is that he became an inspiration for a lot of Black superheroes in the Marvel universe. Whereas in one example, again, I had to do my research on this. I didn't know this much. I knew about Isaiah Bradley, but I never, knew as much because he was always kind of like in the background, literally in the background. But one example of like how important he was to like the Black community was that when Storm and Black Panther were having their wedding, they invited him because he was so known amongst like all these, like I said, Black community, all these Black superheroes, and all these heroes of color were like, "Oh my God, it's Isaiah Bradley, the Black Captain America," and everyone who was like of darker skin was like, "Hey, look, it's him, our hero, our guy." And while people of a wider complexion were like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "Wolverine," because it was Wolverine who they used. Like, I'll tell you another time, buddy.
Oh, so Wolverine knew about this guy?
No, Wolverine didn't know.
Oh, but he's been living so fucking long.
Well, that's the idea that they're giving you. Like this is like a character who was always there, but like no one acknowledged him because of his the color of his skin. And you gotta remember Logan. If we're talking like realistic history, Logan wouldn't have known either.
Probably, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it's even more interesting because they also introduced a character, his grandson, because he had kids. One of them became a superhero whose name I think his name is Justice. We don't see him there, but we see his grandson because I'm guessing that's his grandson.
Yeah, I think so. Because there is a younger,
clearly younger child,
younger dude who's like at the door, like saying like, "There's no guy named Isaiah who lives here."
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that he is his grandson.
Yeah, it's Eli Bradley who is Patriot, one of the Young Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah, and he gets hurt. I want to say he gets shot, and trying to protect Captain America in the comics and he needed some blood transfusion, and Cap was like, "I'm willing to give him my blood." But when he went into there, he already saw that Isaiah was already giving him blood, so he got a little bit of the
Super Soldier
serum.
Yeah. Okay.
And so and like I said, Isaiah Bradley is a very interesting character with a lot of history, and he hasn't been around that long, but they gave him enough stuff to work with where it feels like he has a lot of history.
Yeah, no, I get that seems pretty apparent. So, and I think at least he's probably going to be very important in this show,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps because obviously Falcon himself, I'm assuming like probably
he was troubled.
Yeah, the fact that essentially this dude who was a super soldier and was doing stuff for his country basically got nothing, and Falcon's probably thinking because of the color of his skin.
Yeah, and to drive it even home, like we talked about the police scene. You knew why they were like they interrogated, like, again, we're not. It's something you can't gloss over. Like, it's apparent.
Yeah,
like they were targeting Sam because it was a white guy arguing.
And like literally, like one of the officers like, "Is this man bothering you?" He's like, "No, he's not. Like, what are you on about?"
Yeah, the police officer is escalating the issue,
essentially.
mm-hmm. And it's like literally when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, we're going this route. Holy shit!" I didn't think, and like they're not gonna say outright.
Yeah, because it does seem like it's more they're trying to be, I guess, as subtle as possible,
mm-hmm.
and not just outright state. Yeah, like this show is gonna be talking about some racial issues,
mm-hmm.
which, I mean, I think is probably indicative of just of probably where the like these comic wise, because I think I remember like they're like the Sam Wilson Captain America comics also dealt with a little bit of stuff like this.
Yeah, they did.
So I assume that this is kind of like at least basing it off of maybe that run of comics.
mm-hmm.
just maybe hints, not hints, but more like just little moments where it's sort of like, yeah, no, we're gonna be discussing a bit of this racial stuff going on,
mm-hmm.
but not to the fullest extent where like, listen, we're here to provide a solution. It's more like, no, this is more of a commentary about the state of the world than hey, if you just do X, Y, and Z, then racism is gone.
How it works, for sure. And you can even tell from Falcon's perspective, like he doesn't say it, but like once you start seeing it from that perspective, you might have an understanding as why he didn't want the shield.
Yeah, like it could be. Yeah, you could argue that there is that potentially that a lot of these sort of moments, because there's even like a moment that's kind of like that in the first episode where they're at the bank and Falcon's sister sort of goes, yeah, like doesn't usually happen for people like us. So yeah, it's kind of there.
Yeah, and it's not. I won't say like looking back. If you didn't know the context, it was probably like a throwaway line. But like now going further in, you can kind of see, like there is some undertones there.
Yeah,
and I think they're trying. What they're going for is a more, not beating you over the head with. Like, no, this is something we gotta talk about.
Yeah, I think it's more of like it feels more intrinsically tied, not sort of like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like it feels like it's sort of being it's just naturally in the show and not just like a sort of like not to be made into like a bit of a, I guess, grandstanding talking point, more like a, hey, listen, this stuff just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's something we gotta talk about.
Yeah.
And Steve, I think this is why Steve wanted Falcon to be the one to take up the shield. Because like Sam says, I mean Bucky says he never told Steve, but let's face it, him traveling in time, he would have found out.
I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely was doing a lot of research on stuff, as the Winter Soldier tells us.
Mm-hmm.
So, he probably figured out about a lot of stuff that was going on. So he would probably, maybe in the back of his mind, he was like, yeah, maybe Sam's the right choice because,
Isaiah couldn't get the recognition he deserved.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to someone who, I feel like he would be, I feel like we need that kind of like, that kind of person to take up the mantle.
Yeah.
And for Sam, it fits.
Yeah.
Like I've said this before, like if considering this continuity of stuff, I think Sam makes the most sense. Not saying Bucky didn't make any sense, but he's going through his own stuff where he doesn't have to focus, where he needs to focus on himself before he would ever take up the shield.
Yeah.
And if we need someone to take up the shield now, it would have to be Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of taking up the shield, John Walker, as we said, he seems like an upstanding guy.
Yeah.
But knowing the comic history of that character, I don't think he's gonna be the bad guy. I think he's gonna be like a misunderstood character.
He's gonna be more of I think he's gonna lean into that anti-hero stuff where, he means well, but like essentially he might take stuff a bit too far, to the point where there's probably gonna be some people like that's not how Captain America would act. Well, I'm Captain America now, so what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, that's gonna end up what happening, and I think this is a really, really good episode with a lot of things going on. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with the revelations of Isaiah, because I didn't know who he was coming to this. I was just like, oh, okay, so it's just a dude who had a super soldier serum, but life sort of screwed him over. But knowing that he's essentially, at least in the comics, he's sort of considered like the first Black Captain America. And that has a lot of implications potentially for stuff that might happen later on in the show. And it did provide a very sort of dramatic scene. So yeah.
That was some stuff that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I had to rewatch that scene because that was such a powerful moment. Just seeing this sad man talk about how he got screwed over, and unjustly so.
Yeah.
Because they talk about how him and Bucky fought in the Korean War, and how he basically kicked Bucky's ass.
Yeah.
And and we knowing the history of Bucky, and it's like, oh man, this guy's he did it. He didn't take out Bucky, but he did his job. He was close. We should at least be okay. We're treating him like shit. And even he mentions the government treat me like shit. Telling Bucky that his people, he means Hydra. They didn't make that apparent. Like no, we're not talking about that kind of people. We're talking about the other kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's when they realize that we got to talk to Zemo because he has a lot of info about Hydra and super soldier stuff. But that tells you he got screwed over a lot in life, which is the big tragedy of it all. And I'll be honest, I've heard they were thinking about bringing Isaiah Bradley into this, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be so cool. But I'm surprised at how quickly they brought him in. Yeah,
it is definitely interesting, and like I said earlier, I think it's gonna be it's probably gonna have a lot of impact in terms of the show as it goes on. That sort of revelation, maybe that sort of revelation will potentially might push Sam to take up the mantle.
And they have to bring him back because like I said, his grandson is Patriot, one of the Young Avengers, and they're setting up a lot of Young Avenger stuff. We already have Speed and Wiccan, who, let's be honest, they're coming back.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, we already have Kate Bishop, the new Hawkeye.
Yeah,
and we already confirmed America Chavez, and we just showed off Eli Bradley. So who's Patriot? I feel like if we just show him off and never address him again, only show up randomly, it's like, okay, why? So I feel like he has to be brought in.
Mm-hmm.
So so we have to come back to those guys. I'm excited to see them again. So that's pretty much all we have to say.
Yeah, very, very, very good episode.
Yeah, and I know for it might have been a very topical thing, but it's like you said, it's something you can't really gloss over.
Nah, especially when the show kind of puts it out there.
Yeah, and it's such a engaged. I think this makes. So this is supposed to be the first one of the two shows of the Marvel shows that are out now. This and WandaVision. WandaVision is the more experimental, while Falcon and Winter Soldier is the more traditional. But I'm starting to see that. Starting to think that's not the case with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay, in terms of just like there's probably gonna be a lot of social commentary.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, they said that it's gonna be more like Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier, like you said, had that sort of commentary.
Yeah, it had a bit of a commentary on like this, like the surveillance state and stuff like that. And no, I definitely understand that sentiment. But yeah, I still think, at least in terms of like tone, I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a more familiar tone, and WandaVision is, like you said earlier, experimental. Right? But I mean, I feel like that's kind of expected.
Yeah, and as a fan of Cap, I'm looking forward to it. If we were to rate this episode, what would you give it?
Rating. I'm thinking about like a potentially 8.5 to 9.
I'm going in with an 8.
Okay, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, and I think it's the commentary that helps it. Just those moments are like, yeah, like everything is like really what you expect from Marvel, but that moment was like, whoa, okay, we're going somewhere.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and yeah, so thanks guys for taking the chance to listen to us while we talk about Winter Soldier. We'll see when we'll be able to do the next time because I think we got a lot of stuff coming up.
Well, I mean, yeah, I believe we're probably going to be reviewing Kong vs. Godzilla, which comes out by the time of this recording next week. So that's probably going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, and well, I think there's more stuff coming out soon. But thanks, guys, for taking us a listen. If you want to support us, we do have social media accounts which is with like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at the Geek Centurions. So just look up the Geek Centurions. You'll find any of those 3 sites. If you go to Instagram, where we are the most active, you'll find a link tree that tells you all the podcasting sites that we're with. So like we're Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, all that good stuff, Castbox. And also we have a YouTube, so you can put like you can see for all the listeners, see what we look like, or another way for us to support us. There you can comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, the kind of stuff that you're used to with YouTube. We're there. We mostly kind of film it like it was YouTube, but the audio stuff is still pretty good. And if you ever want to support us in any way, help us out, we do have a Patreon where you have a list of tiers where you can support us. Any form counts, and anything helps. We want to do a lot more stuff. Hopefully, with the changes of times, we'll be able to do more. And yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah, that's about it. I had something more, but I was wrong.
Yeah, well, hoping that the show continues to be good and solid.
I'm wondering whether or not they'll continue the social commentary or not. I feel like that's kind of the strong point right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would agree with that.
Yeah, so thank you guys for checking us out, listen to us. Go check out Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's really good so far.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. We also did the Snyder Cut, so if you want to check that out, go for it.
Yeah, we did release that episode.
You might not like what some of us said. Well, we enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, if you want to know more about what we thought, go watch the video.
Yeah, just to let you know, we did enjoy the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, you guys have a good one. It's been your boy
Joe
and your boy Eli. Fun. You guys have a good one. Really good experience. We're signing out. Peace.